Welcome learners. We are in the course Information Communication and Society, course 1 of Master of Library and Information Science. Today we'll study lesson 7 of module 1 of the course, that is Information Life Cycle. Life cycle in biology is the series of changes that the members of a species undergo as they pass from the beginning of a given development stage to the inception of the same developmental stage in a subsequent generation. Or it may again be defined as the series of, or in simple language, it is the series of changes in the life of an organism, including reproduction. We are surrounded every moment by information. Although information has its own specific characteristics, its concept may be perceived in several different ways and may be used for different purposes. Information is generated and assimilated or utilized to create new information or to fulfill a particular application or objective. In this way, information also goes through its life cycle, involving different actors and aspects in its generation, communication, assimilation, and regeneration of information. Information life cycle may vary in different domains of knowledge or in different fields of practices and applications. And the ultimate objective is to ensure that information is accessible, secure, and relevant during its lifespan while being properly managed to meet generation of new knowledge or operational, legal or regulatory requirements. Today in this class we shall cover the information transfer cycle, what it is and how it varies in different fields of practices or different knowledge domain, and we also cover the models of scholarly communication, and on the basis on those models we shall discuss life cycle of scholarly information and the impact of technology on the communication of scholarly information will also be covered. And finally, after discussing the scholarly communication, we shall touch the information life cycle in an organizational information system. Now, what is information life cycle or information generation and transfer cycle? In an era definitely by data driven decisions and rapid technological advancements, the study of the information life cycle enables a structured approach to manage information responsibly, ensuring its relevance and utility. The information life cycle includes all phases and processes of managing and operating with information and data, but it may be differently perceived in different situations. The life cycle of scholarly information represents the systematic progression of knowledge through its creation or generation, organization, dissemination and utilization or assimilation and finally regeneration. It is a cyclical process that connects researchers, institutions, publishers, libraries and end users in a collaborative ecosystem. Earlier, this entire process has relied on print-based methods for the production and dissemination of knowledge with significant barriers in terms of access, speed and reach. However, the advent of the digital age has revolutionized every stage of this life cycle, transforming how knowledge is created, shared and consumed. Again, in case of an organization, the stages through which information in its information system passes involves creation or collection, processing, dissemination, use, storage, archiving and disposition of information. Now we move on to life cycle of scholarly information. There are several models of scholarly information communication. Among the earliest model, one is unicist model for scientific and technical communication. In 1971, Unicist proposed a model for scientific and technical communication. The model describes information communication between knowledge producer and knowledge user as a socio-technical system consisting of diverse organizational and documentary units, each contributing to the division of labor in scholarly communication. Sondergaard, Anderson and Vorland argued that the unicist model holds the potential for outlining and understanding such structures not only in science and technology as originally envisaged, but also in other domains such as the social sciences and humanities. In spite of its age, newer models have not been able to replace it, but they also observed that due to development of information technology, the model is inadequate today. This model was originally proposed as a generalized model for the information structures within science and technology, but may be generalized to other fields as well. A mapping of these agents, their information services and document production should be an essential task of library and information science research. Here we present unicist model of the flow of scientific and technical information as adopted by Sondergaard, Anderson and Holland. In this model, we can see producers produces information and ultimately that information reaches to the user through various channels, maybe directly through primary sources of information, or the information in primary sources may be condensed in secondary sources, and again those secondary or tertiary sources may reach to the users. Before going to the end users, the information may be acted upon by several agents like distributor, publishers, and in the secondary channels there may be roles of librarians, information centers, clearing houses, abstracting and indexing services, etc. And when the users uses and assimilates those information, they are able to generate now new information. They may generate or may not generate new information, but after using and assimilating the existing information, new information and knowledge products may be generated. Thus, users may again become the producers of information. In this model, the model was proposed in 1971, and in 2003, Sondergaard, Anderson and Holland modified and revised that model, including the internet resources and agents as the mediator and the influencer of information generation, dissemination and transmission, utilization, finally assimilation. Another model was given by Lancaster that also shows in the similar way the user community after using the information, they produces information. Information may be produced in research and developmental activities or through application activities, and through these may be produced, information may be produced through authorship, and these are published by primary publication, and these may be condensed in secondary publication, and primary publication may directly go to the through primary publications, through primary distributors may directly go to the end users, or primary publications through secondary publications and distributors may reach to the users, and the users assimilate information and they may generate again new information. From these two models, we now discuss life cycle of scholarly information in brief. A part of information science deals with storage, retrieval and transmission of information of any kind in any way. The transmission of information may be done by oral communication as well as with communication through documents. The means by which written information is transferred are depicted as a kind of cycle. The processes of formal communication are presented as a cycle because they are continuous and regenerative. Generation of information. Information may be generated in several ways. As already discussed, the scholarly information is generated as the result of research and developmental activities and practice in the field of application. Such information may be processed to create a knowledge product. The user community is simply the community of individuals working in a particular subject area. All of them are in some sense users of information, and some of them will also be creators of information products. There is a fairly strong correlation between authorship and the type of activity in which an individual is engaged. Next, come to information dissemination. Authorship is not itself a form of communication, and the primary and secondary publishers do the job either through reproducing the work of the author in multiple copies and distributing them in a formal manner, or doing the same when the primary work is condensed in secondary or tertiary sources. Thus, formal communication channels of communicating research are categorized in published documents and unpublished documents. Now, what are published documents? Published documents, as for example books, journals, etc., go from the knowledge producer through publishers or editors from whom they reach the users, perhaps through abstracting and indexing services and through libraries and information centers. Unpublished documents consists, among other things, of theses, research and technical reports, etc., distributed in limited copies by, as for example, government agencies. These documents may reach the users through clearinghouses, information centers, etc. The notion of grey literature in this case is somewhere in between published and unpublished documents. A private letter is unpublished, while a report registered by a clearinghouse is semi-published or grey literature. The work of an author has little or no impact on the professional community until it has been made available to the users by publishing and disseminating it. Besides formal communication channels, another channel of communication of information is informal channel. Informal communication may be in oral or written form and takes place when the producer and the user know each other and exchange information via channels such as personal correspondence, manuscripts and preprints, private exchange of bibliographical references, etc. It might also occur semi-formally, as in professional conferences, meetings or lectures, or informally in invisible college or grapevining, etc. Prior to ICT age, researchers and scholars used to rely much on such mode of communication, but in today's technological world, the distinction between formal and informal channels has become blurred. Now, what the role the libraries and information centers play in this information transfer cycle. Information centers such as libraries or any other center have very important roles to play in the information transfer cycle. Through their acquisition and storage policies, libraries provide a permanent archive of professional achievement and a guaranteed source of access to these records. They also organize and control the knowledge resources by means of advanced producers such as classification, OPAC, indexing, discovery services, and related procedures. These steps, along with other specialized services such as current awareness, literature search, document delivery service, etc., work as the aid to disseminate information in the library and constitute a form of secondary distribution of scholarly information. Thus, the information reach directly to the user community through subscription and purchase by individuals, or indirectly to the user community through subscription and purchase by libraries or and any other types of information centers. Now the final stage, that is information utilization and assimilation. The final stage in scholarly communication is the assimilation. This is the stage at which information is absorbed by the user community. There is always a distinction between document transfer and information transfer. Transfer of information occurs only if the information or knowledge content in a document is studied and assimilated by a user to that point at which he or she is informed by it and his or her state of knowledge on the subject matter has been altered or modified. Assimilation of information by the information user may occur through primary distribution or secondary distribution. Different documents may have different levels and speeds of assimilation associated with them, and some may never be assimilated at all because they are never used. One possible measure of assimilation is the extent to which a publication is cited by scholars or authors in a later period. Now, what the digital technology or advancement of modern technologies impact on the communication of scholarly information? The life cycle of scholarly information has undergone a profound transformation in the digital age, marked by advancements in the creation, synthesis, dissemination, utilization, engagement, and assimilation of knowledge and information. The advent of digital tools and platforms have revolutionized how research is conducted, shared, or accessed, leading to faster, more collaborative, and inclusive scholarly practices. Here we discuss briefly the impact of digital technology on generation of knowledge and information, enhanced discoverability of information, role of secondary sources and impact of information on that, and impact of role of secondary sources and impact of technology on that, consolidation and dissemination of information through digital technologies, and finally how the technology enhances user engagement and assimilation of information. Generation of knowledge. The scholarly information life cycle begins with the creation of knowledge, the foundational stage in which researchers or literateurs engage in a series of intellectual and technical activities such as data collection, experimentation, observation, analysis, and finally writing of their work. For this type of jobs, they may get help of the technology in various stages. They may access to preprint repositories, they can use collaborative research tools, they may be benefited by institutional servers and open data platforms, etc. Now, access to preprint repositories. Open access preprint repositories ensures that emerging ideas and discoveries are made available to the global research community without unnecessary delay, such as archive, bioarchive, etc. Digital collaborative platforms allow geographically dispersed researchers to collaborate seamlessly in real time irrespective of their physical distance. As example, there are Colab or GitHub, etc. And institutional repositories serve as centralized hubs where researchers can upload, access and share their research outputs, including datasets, working papers, technical reports and supplementary materials, etc. The transformation of the knowledge creation process through digital tools has fundamentally altered the scholarly landscape. Research is now faster, more inclusive and more adaptable to the rapidly changing needs of the global research community. Next, technology may also help in enhanced discoverability of information and knowledge products. Once knowledge is generated, it must undergo a process of mediation to ensure that it reaches its users efficiently and effectively. This involves indexing, cataloging, organizing scholarly resources to enhance their discoverability and accessibility. In this regard, there are many search engines or discovery platforms or abstracting and indexing services or centralized access through e-libraries or online catalogs. Next, we discuss the technological advancement and its impact on the role of secondary sources. Secondary sources are vital in the scholarly life cycle as they provide the necessary direction to search or access and to get the knowledge components of primary sources. Significantly expanded secondary sources make it easier for scholars to explore, access, analyze and utilize information from primary resources. Such examples are reviews and bibliographies. Systematic reviews, meta-analysis and curated bibliographies have become more readily available online. Systematic reviews and meta-analysis compile and assess existing research on a specific topic. Next, real-time access to secondary analysis. Search engines and databases such as Google Scholar, Scopus, Web of Science, etc. allow researchers to track new developments in their fields, offering updates on publications, citations, and relevant articles. Next, we come to knowledge organization systems as the secondary sources. Advanced knowledge organization systems structure complex information. Digital platforms like Taxonomy Navigator or Ontology Lookup Service offer tools for navigating complex terminologies in specialized fields. Thus, utilizing secondary sources for research advancement, the digital tools available for creating, organizing, and accessing secondary sources have empowered researchers to more effectively identify trends, gaps, or opportunities within their areas of study. As example, a systematic literature review may identify areas where research is sparse, signaling to scholars where more investigation is needed. Now, consolidation and dissemination. The dissemination of knowledge has undergone a radical transformation, enabling scholarly information to be shared more broadly, efficiently, and made them accessible. Open access platforms, data visualization tools, and online summaries collectively contribute to the consolidation and dissemination of scholarly works. Online summaries and encyclopedias such as Wikipedia, Google Scholars, Citation Profile, etc., and many other discipline-specific encyclopedias provide concise and accessible summaries of scholarly work. Finally, after getting the disseminated information through the technological intermediation, the users get engaged with the information and assimilate information, and from that they may generate new information or knowledge. So the final stage is the user engagement in assimilation and the role of technology in this stage. The digital age has transformed users into active participants who engage with or shape and even generate new knowledge through interactive platforms enabling collaborative engagement like Mendeley, Zotero enable users to create personal libraries of academic articles or any knowledge product or resources. Users can also share their libraries with colleagues or with the public, facilitating collaboration on research projects or reviews. Open access policies have played a pivotal role in democratizing knowledge by ensuring equity in knowledge accessibility. That is, scholarly information is accessible to everyone. This creates a more inclusive research environment where all users can contribute to solve global challenges. Another type of platform for user engagement and assimilation of information is citizen science and crowdsourcing. This is one of the most significant development in user engagement. On the platforms such as Universe, non-expert users can help classify images, track wildlife, transcribe historical documents, and contribute to other research tasks. This active participation allows users to play a key role in the scientific process, making them co-creators of knowledge rather than passive consumers. And through interactive platforms, open access repositories, and citizen science or crowdsourcing initiatives, users are empowered to engage with scholarly materials, share their expertise, and collaborative research projects. Till now, we have discussed about the life cycle of scholarly information and how digital advancement has emphasized the life cycle of the scholarly information in its various stages. Now, we give and discussion on the information life cycle in an organizational information system. The information life cycle in an organizational information system refers to the sequence of stages that information undergoes from its creation to its final disposition. This life cycle plays a critical role in ensuring that information remains accurate, secure, and valuable through its existence. This system is composed of distinct stages that ensure data and information are managed effectively throughout their existence. These stages are creation or acquisition of information, storage of information, information uses, sharing of information, archiving of required information, retention, and finally disposal of non-required information. Now, information creation or generation. Information is generated or may be acquired or collected through various activities which form the foundational stage of the information life cycle. These may involve research and development, surveys, census, government activities, or many other activities may create information. Next, information storage. After information is generated or collected or acquired, it is preserved for future use by storing it in various forms such as physical and digital storage. Proper storage ensures accessibility, longevity, and protection of valuable information. The third step is uses of information. In this stage, the information is actively used for various business purposes such as decision making, analysis, and operational activities. Access is granted to authorized individuals who need the information for their tasks only. The fourth step is the sharing of information. Information often needs to be shared with others in the organization, either within the organization or externally. Sharing may require various forms of communication such as email, collaboration tools, reports, or presentation. During this stage, it is critical to ensure that proper security measures are in place to protect sensitive information. Next step is the archiving of information, because over time information may become less frequently used but still needs to be retained for legal compliance or historical purposes. And in this stage, information that is no longer actively needed is moved to an archive for long-term storage. Step 6 is retention. Retention involves the ongoing management of information according to specific retention policies, usually determined by legal or regulatory requirements. Information may be kept for defined period to comply with laws, organizational policies, or contractual obligations. A retention schedule specifies how long different types of information should be kept before they are deleted or archived. The final stage is destruction or disposal of information. Proper disposal is essential to ensure that sensitive information is not exposed or accessed after it is no longer useful, reducing the risk of data breaches or compliance violations. Thus, in this class, we have discussed information life cycle in the case in both the cases for scholarly communication and for organizational information system. Information lifecycle provides a comprehensive framework for understanding and managing the flow of information in the contexts of scholarly communication and organizational information systems. It can be complex and presents several aspects under consideration. As information grows in volume, diversity, and importance, it becomes more difficult to ensure that it is properly handled at every stage. By addressing its various stages, creation, organization, storage, processing, sharing, utilization, assimilation, or disposition, organization can ensure that information remains a strategic asset. In this class, we have discussed what different stages are involved in the communication and flow of information in its life cycle, both in case of scholarly information and for organizational information. The technological impact on the generation, communication, utilization, assimilation, disposal of information in the entire process of its life cycle have also been covered in a brief nutshell. Thank you very much.